Hi all, welcome back to Subtech Online. It's me again, Sabit Christopher. Today I'm going to take you through pivot tables from begin to advanced. So stay around up to the end of this video. There is a lot we are going to talk about. There is a lot I'm going to show you. There are a lot of tricks which we have in pivot tables. Some of you have never used. Either you have used it, but you have not used it right. So before I start analyzing with pivot tables, I want us to first understand what are pivot tables. So pivot tables are powerful data analysis tools in Excel that will allow users to summarize, analyze, and manipulate large amounts of data, large chunks of data. They provide a way how you can extract meaningful insights and patterns from complex data sets by rearranging, aggregating, and all the groupings. We are going to look at that. Please stay around up to the end of this video. A lot of tricks we are going to unveil, a lot of them. So you can always go to our videos on our channel, pause, play as you practice. As our theme says, we keep learning. So here we go. That's the definition. This is the way how pivot tables look like. We are going to look at them, we are going to use them, and we are going to appreciate what it does. So before even we go very far from using the pivot tables, I want to take you through the benefits of you using pivot tables. So we know they offer the advantages, including one, there is simplifying data analysis. Pivot tables, they provide a user-friendly interface. We are going to look at that to perform complex data analysis. There is flexibility. They allow you to change layouts, add and remove fields, apply filters, all that. Then the third is they allow you to summarize large chunks of data sets. I will not explain it, but go ahead and watch this video as you practice. So they are interactive. We are going to see how we create interactive reporting using slicers, using drill downs, using a lot, even graphs. So please make sure that you stick on this video. Go ahead and pause, practice. I'll put for you this file in the description below on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe at Subtech Online. Hit that notification bell such that you can always receive videos like this. Now, the first thing we are going to do is you'll always have your data. And the first principle in data analysis is always the first thing is look at your data, whether understand your data first. My data, I have order states, I have orders, customers, I have dates, I have the time when they are booking those orders, I have the branches, then the amount of each order, the sales partners or the sales representative, and the channel they use to book those orders. Just simple data, but we need to analyze it and get the insights from this data such that the owners of the business can get to understand how they can improve their business. So the first thing I'm going to take you through is creating a pivot table. How do we create a pivot table? There are two options. The first option is you can always go and select the data. Then after that, we shall go to insert. Then you insert a pivot table. Then the other option will be we shall create a table first such that our data is combined together or encapsulated together as if it is one container. Then we shall use now that to extract pivot tables. So the option of selecting tables, you can always click in the first row, first column, Control Shift on the right, Control Shift at the bottom, you'll have selected your data. Then here you'll go ahead and you insert a pivot. Then it will ask you, you see that it has selected all our data up to 723. Then it will ask you whether you insert this on a new one or on an existing sheet. At the moment, we shall be inserting on a new one. Then the recommendation will always be, please always create a table of your data, then you start dealing with it. So creating a table, you go in insert and click on that button. that is creating a table. Or you can use a shortcut, Control T. It will also be another way of creating a table. You see that I've selected all our data, and since we have headers in the first row, I go with those headers. So I'll go ahead and say OK. So the moment I insert a table, it is going to always put it to the default theme. So I can always go there and change my theme. If you don't want sharp colors, or if you're blinded somehow, you can take it back to the light color. But this is now a table, because when I click in it, you see that it gives me a data or a table design, a tab that is table design. But when I click outside, it disappears, which means my data is a table. So that's how we tell that your data has been inserted in a table. You can go ahead and change themes as you like, but I would like to stick on the light theme. Now, the next thing is we have created a table. We want now to insert a pivot table. So inserting a pivot table, the first thing is you go to insert, you go to pivot table, you look for pivot tables. Then there is also another option to always look for the recommended pivot tables. So if you don't know exactly what you want to summarize, you can always go to the recommended pivot tables. Excel will always give you a summary of pivots. So you see, it gives you a summary of pivots. Here it is amount by branches. Here it gives you amount by sales partners. Here it gives you amount by orders. Because amount is the only aggregation field we have. Like a field we can add, we can multiply, we can subtract. It is only in column G. That's amount. So when I go ahead and use the first option for today, create a pivot, it will ask me, yes, you're creating a pivot from this table 1 and I want it to a new sheet. So I will say, yes, I need it on a new sheet. So I can always add this to the data model in case I want to create measures in future, or you have many tables from different sources. Go ahead and enable data models. So I will say, okay. The moment I do OK, it is going to take me to a new sheet. And on a new sheet, it will also give me the pivot fields. So this is the pivot field. So it will always give me a framework of the pivot table, number 1. And this is a new sheet. I can go ahead and rename it to pivots. So when I click outside, the fields disappear. When I click in the framework of the pivot table, here are the fields. So you can go ahead now and start selecting. So we have 3 or 4 areas. I can say we have filters, we have rows, we have columns, and we have values. So here it is up to you what to choose, but it also depends on what you are summarizing out or on what you are analyzing. So let's say we want to summarize the amounts or the revenues garnered in every branch. So I will scroll down to branches, drag branches and take it to rows, then go and drag amounts and take it to values. So the moment you drop it in values, it will automatically sum this. So it is now to my own choice if I can click on this value field settings, then it will give me this option. So I can go ahead and say, no, I wanted to count, or I wanted to get the average, or I wanted to get the maximum. So if you want to know the maximum order, the order that came in with the maximum amount, you can go ahead and click on that. It will give you only the maximum amount, but this time I wanted the sum. I'll go ahead and sum, and here we go. This is the first pivot table I've created, and that is it. So now the next thing is customizing the layout. So you see here it is telling us, I can zoom this one in. You see here it is giving us row labels and grand totals. Maybe I don't need this. So how do I go ahead and start customizing this? The first thing, you'll go to data design. So on data design, we have a report layout here. We can go ahead and always change to show in tabular form. The moment I show in tabular form, it will change this to the exact header. So you can go even ahead and change this, that maybe this one I needed it to be revenue. So there you go. If I want to change the formatting to this, by putting commas, I will right click on this, go to number formats, which is this. It will bring a dialog box, go to numbers, select use separator. It will automatically put a separator and I don't want any decimal. I will leave it at 0, okay, and it will change that. So that is the first thing we have done, guys. We have created our first pivot table. So you can go ahead and now manipulate this the more ways you want to manipulate it. So if you want to get the grand totals, or if you don't need them, you can always go here. You say off grand totals, they will disappear. Or if you need them, you'll go ahead and enable them. Grand totals on rows, they will be enabled. So this is the first stage we have gone. We have created our pivot table. We have customized the layout. Now the next thing is, let's go on something else. Let's try to manipulate now our pivot table. So if I want to create another pivot table, I can always go back and say create another pivot table by inserting a pivot table. This time I will say existing because I know where I'm taking it. I will add it to data model, then click on the location. You go and look for your location. I want to put it here. So you can always skip like one column or two to make sure that they don't overlap. I will put it here, then go ahead and say okay. So the moment I do okay, I will be getting another framework of pivot table now number 2. This time, let's summarize by by sales partners. So I'll go look for sales partners. Here we are. I'll get them, drop them in the in the rows. Then look out for, now if I want to count the number of orders, I'll drag orders, put it in numbers. It is going to automatically count this because this was not an aggregation field. Because they were just order numbers, this is the way how the order numbers look like. They can't be aggregated. That's why it is automatically counting. And when I click on this field value settings and I say sum, it will automatically give me an error that you can't sum this. So we'll go ahead and do the count as how it is. And here we go. This is our count. So you can go ahead and even change this to report, layout, make it tabular. It will bring for me this summary. So here is the summary. Now, if I wanted to break this one by branches, you can drag branches and put them in columns. And this is what you'll get now. You'll see that this sales pattern is in branch A, created in branch B, created these orders, in branch C created these orders, and in branch E created these orders. And his total orders are 15, which means he never created any order in branch D, he never created any order in branch A. So you find that you have a summary and you can look at which branch is having more creation of orders. That is branch A. So in case you don't need the number of counts and you want to break this one, you drag it out. I want to break it in the number of amounts. Now, these are the amounts. And the moment I want to change this to the number formats, we did this to numbers, this, and you go ahead and change, and it will change everything. So here you can easily tell who is highest, who is lowest. If I want to select this, and I want to put, let's say, a condition formatting. You want to see which is the highest order. So you can always select now the amounts garnered from each sales pattern and by branch. Then go ahead, go to home, condition formatting, highlights, or you come here on colors, then do like this. So which means where we find a green, this is the highest order that has ever come through. Where we find red, that's the lowest order that has ever come through. So you can easily analyze your data that these guys have garnered a lot of revenue actually, and they're all from branch A. Then if you want to do by branches, you can do from here. You go ahead and put a color scheme also. Then you'll tell that branch A is the highest with 71M. Then the other branches B and D and E, they are trailing with less than 15M. So here we have already analyzed, and that's what they told us. The moment you create pivot tables, you'll easily analyze your data, you'll summarize your data, and you'll do anything you feel like. So let's look at something else that is sorting out. I will delete this, or you can always go ahead and scroll to the right to make sure that you create more summaries. So I want to create another table, but now this time I don't want to go back and create maybe another pivot from the initial stages. I'll just copy this, then bring the same here, skip one column, paste this here. So I'll do control, so I'll copy this, control C, then come and paste it here. So here we go. Now I'm creating another pivot table. So in this pivot table now I want to create by day. So I want to create the revenue by day. So you look for date. I'll drag date now, put it under revenue, which means now if I drag date and branches, all of them put under rows. This is the how it is splitting them. So you can always go, maybe I remove now the date. I want to only remain with month. So it will remain with only month. Then it tells me that for branch A, May, we have this, June, we have that. For branch B, this. So if you want to bring month first, you can drag it and put it on the top. So you'll see now they change the format. So we have month first. You'll see that month, for the month of May, we have this. A garnered this, and in June, A garnered this. If you want to collapse this, you can always right click and say collapse. You collapse, right click, and we shall say here collapse all. Yeah, collapse all. I'm not getting it, but you can collapse from here. So it will give you only the summaries for May and June, in case you don't need the other one. Then in case you don't need the branches, you can drag it out and drop it outside. It will give you by month, June and May. So you can go ahead and do it wherever you want it. So if I want branches to be put on under columns, so I can drag branches and put them under columns, and this is the way how it will appear. So you find that you have done a summary, very neat, and it is talking about May only, and it is giving you the June only. So as I told you before, that if you don't need the grand totals, you can always go to design, you go to grand totals and say off all of them. So you remain with only the branch revenues for both May and June. So if you need them, you can always go and toggle them on again on rows and columns. So here we go, guys. Now, since we have done now that part, what is the next thing we are going to? We have inserted, we have now manipulated. We want to look at how do we group this data by dates. Here we saw the grouping, that when we dropped a date, it grouped by month and it grouped by date. But in case we don't need that grouping, and in case I don't need this, so yeah, if I leave the amount here, take out the branches, then I bring my date back to rows. So no, this is date for month. I'll go and pick the date, the original date. So the moment I pick the original date, in case I expand them again, and this time I don't need by month, I remove it. I just need this date. So you see it is running from 4th. It is already ascended, such that we are beginning with the oldest to the newest at the bottom. So it is up to you whether you can always come here and say start with the newest to oldest, it will bring the newest on top and the oldest down. So you can do the sorting from here. Then you can also come and sort by values, and you say that, you know what, I need values that are greater than let's say 800,000, like this. Okay, it will bring me values that are only greater than 800,000. Let me put commas here. So we shall go to, just click in this number format. Let's put our separators again. So you see, this is this. So let's change this and call give greater than, let's put 1 million, 1 million, like this. Actually, let's go for only those above 4 million. So you see, 4 million, it will give us the data that is above 4 million. So that's how you go ahead and filter and sort pivot tables. Now, what is the next thing we are going to? I'll remove the filters, just click here and click all the filters. We do this again, ascend from oldest to newest. Now, let's try grouping data by date, and we shall also do by numbers. So here we are grouping by date. Now, if you want to group these dates, so let's say we group by every 7 days, that is a week, obviously. So we shall go to pivot table and analyze. Then you'll always have group here fields. The moment you click out, the group is grayed out, which means it always appears when you have a date format, group field. So the moment I click in date, it will appear. So I'll click here, group field. Now they're asking me, should we group by month? I will say yes, and they'll group by month. If I undo this, we look at the other options. If we want to group by days, and click out months. So this is it. Now they have grouped by days, which means fourth, fifth, going downwards. So you can remove the date here, then you remain with only by days. So if I put my original date back, here we go, and we ungroup this. So let's look at other groupings. Then you can group by quarters, you can group by years in case your dates stretch up to that. Also, you can group by hours. So guys, that's how we group by dates. So I can put it back to months only, and okay, it will give us a group by months. And there we go, guys. Now, how do we group these fields by numbers? The first thing is, I'll create a pivot for only numbers. So I'll drag this off, I'll drag this off. Now, the amount, instead I'll put it under rows, which means it is going to run the amounts that are there up to the bottom. Now, if I want to count what every amount was counting, or the frequency for, let's say, the first order, if there are these many orders of 2,700, how do we split this? So you can bring the orders and drag them here, because we know orders will count for us. So here we have the frequency. So I can go ahead, you change this maybe to what you need it to be. That is frequency. Enter. Now, we need now to group by this amount. We need to group them, let's say, by maybe 5,000. So we see where is the highest distribution. This is when you want to create a distribution. So if I want to group this, I'll go ahead and click in that number, go to the group field, the counts we have. Obviously, this is 1. Now, let's move to something else. That is, let's try to do a calculated field. Now, bringing back my original pivot table, that is branch, then the amount here. So if I go ahead and format this, Okay, format this to number and put a separator. Okay. So we shall go ahead and now we have many options. If you want, you can change this into percentages by right clicking on any of these. Then you go to show values as. Now I'll say show these values as the percentage of the grand total. So the moment I click on the percentage of a grand total, it will give me the percentages this way. So this one gives me a leverage that I can easily select on that because it all totals to 100%. You can go ahead and create a pivot pie chart by inserting a chart. You come here on pie chart and insert your chart that way. So you can go ahead and create a summary or a visual from this, but this is now looked at a percentage level. You can also give this as show as percentage of the row, there is percentage of the column, whichever you want to see, it will always be there. Then you can also rank from smallest to largest or from largest to smallest. So the moment I say rank from, it will ask me, do you want to rank by branches? Yes. Then it is going to rank that branch A is number one. So let me pick amount again and drop it here. So we want to look at the values again. So you'll see branch A is number one because it is 71 millions. This one is number two because it is 30. This is number three because it is 27, number four, and number five. So you've already made your rankings, and there you go. Those are the rankings you have. So you can go ahead and also create calculated fields. How do we create calculated field? Let's say if we wanted to give a bonus of 5% to every market in relation to the amount they have garnered, which means maybe I no longer need the ranking. So which means we shall go ahead and